teaching. So today we're talking about Stone Age culture. I wonder if there's a way that I can see comments at the same time as teaching. No, it's going to be like a scroll down situation, but I'll check intermittently. Okay. Oh no, hold on. What's this button do? No, 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 no. Dashboard actions. No, no. I'm sure there's a way to do it. I'll find out another time. Okay. Stone Age culture and art. What? Okay. So, I'm going to teach this. I think there are 2 people here. If there isn't, then you guys can watch it on recording. So that's good anyway. So, what is culture? Because I think that's a fair question. So, culture is the way people live. So, it's their art, their music, their beliefs, stories that they tell, food, clothes, housing, that kind of thing. Just the way they live. But I've taught 3 lessons on Stone Age stuff already. So we've talked about Stone Age life in general, how it was to live in the Stone Age. We've talked about Stone Age housing. Can hear my child crying. We've talked about clothing and tools and weapons and animals. So we covered quite a lot. But we haven't talked about art. We haven't talked about their art. Or music. Whoa, I joined up one word and not the other. That's classic me. I've got to join this one up now. We haven't talked about their stories or their beliefs. I always get the I and the E the wrong way around. I before E, except after C. Belief system. Woo! Belief systems or stories. Is that my main ones? That's my main ones. Okay. That's what we're going to focus on today. Art, tiny bit of music, but not loads. We'll talk about why in a minute. Belief systems and stories. Okay, so let's go for art first of all, because I've got some really fun activities for that. Okay, so if you think of Stone Age art, most people think of cave paintings. I have a favourite cave painting because I used to teach Stone Age as a topic to my year 3s. So there is some Stone Age art called, my Argentinian accent's not good, Cueva de les Manos. I'm really sorry if any of you speak Spanish. It basically means cave of hands, okay? I'm going to write it. Should I leave this up for now? I'll leave this up for now. I'll write it later, because I'm going to do some fun stuff on here. So, C-U-E-V-A. Cueva, that's the cave part. Dela. It's French, Dela. Don't know what it is in Spanish. That's why I don't teach languages. Manos, I think it is. Let me just double check. Yes, it is. This is, cave. Dela means of the hands, manos. It's in Argentina. And it is, they think about 13,000 years old. Maybe a little bit less. Let's say 10,000. And it's hundreds of hands all over the walls. And they think that they made this by putting the left hand up, because they're all left hands, if I remember correctly, and having some kind of blowpipe in the right hand, and using some of that natural pigment we talked about when we were talking about clothing. So like clay or charcoal or like a plant mixed in with water and dried out, like powdery stuff, and they would blow it through the pipe at the hand and use your hand as a stencil, and it's so cool. So I did this really cool thing where I laid out, I say it was really cool, bigging up myself. We had a really good time. Laid out rolls of big paper for my year 3 class, and they all put their hands on, and then we painted around their hands. But because most of you are home editors, you get to create more chaos and more mess because you're in your own home, not in a classroom where someone's saying, "You're making a mess." So, I will show you how I did it before, and then I will show you how I think you should do it, or how I would do it with my class if someone wasn't going to tell me off for causing chaos. Plus my class were excitable. So this was enough for them that day. Okay, this is my cave wall. Now, a really fun thing to do is to put your paper under a table and lay under a table, or just make a den and have your paper on the walls of your den so you feel like you're in a cave. Then it's like really Stone Age-ish. Okay, so I've got pastels here, which is kind of what we used before. I think we used oil pastels. You put your hand down, you rub around the edge of it. You can even draw around the edge of it like this. So obviously they didn't have pastels. They would have used natural art tools, but they would have still been made out of like a natural substance. What's pastel made of? It's got to be some kind of earth, some kind of clay. You have to look that up later. I guess it depends whether you buy natural ones or whether they're a bit plasticky. But they would have got sort of ground-based, because everything came from the earth. They didn't have machines. They couldn't pop to Tesco. They had to use what they had. You could do this with mud. In fact, that's what they did, but they did hundreds of them. So it's like a whole community did it. So that's like the, I say minimal mess. I'm a bit messy. Minimal mess version. Now, they would have had charcoal. So charcoal is effectively wood that's been burnt. So you could make your own charcoal. You could have a little mini fire, safely with an adult, put the fire out. I'm going to snap this in half. See if you can find any wood that has gone black that you could draw with. Like cave people, like the Stone Age people would have done. So this is a natural, slightly more natural substance than the pastels. I'm going to be a second person now. It creates a different effect, but you know, we know that the Neolithic period, the new bit, they've worked out how to make fire, so there is no reason that they wouldn't have had charcoal. I mean, they would have had charcoal before then, but they would have had to have found it by a volcano or after a lightning bolt. Some kind of naturally occurring fire, rather than making it themselves. So, doesn't have to be super neat. Okay, that's my second one. Still minimalist. Minimalist. It's not minimalist. Still minimally tidy / messy, depending on if you're an optimist or a pessimist. Okay. So that's my two sort of, they look like natural substances. If you want to go into the garden and find mud or clay, even if you dig a bit down, you might find some clay in your garden. You could do something like this. You might be able to sort of flick it on over your hand. You might not want to do it on paper. They didn't do it on paper, they did it on walls. Maybe you've got a garden wall that you're growing up, so don't mind if you throw some mud out. Maybe you could make your own quiver, I wish I could speak Spanish. Cueva de las manos. What was that accent? It's embarrassing. Yeah, do your own cave paintings. They would have actually had it in a pipe, they think. So, my other thought was, if you had some straws lying around the house, and you were really careful not to breathe in, so you breathe in the air with the straw away from your mouth, and then you blow into the straw that's potentially got some wet mud in it, you could the mud at your hand, which is what they would have done. Okay, moving on here. I might move this one up a little bit. But there is also you know, home alternatives. Anyone have any of these at their house? Blow pens? Now, I advise wearing a rubber glove. We couldn't find any rubber gloves. I'm going to attempt to protect my hand with cling film, which is a bit rogue, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get the fingers in. But if you've got rubber gloves, that's just so much easier, isn't it? Let's be honest. Or, you know, your schnapp gloves, marigolds. People still use them, don't they? You know, we've definitely got some marigolds somewhere. You could even, if you didn't want to do, oh, it's not going to work. You could even cut out a paper hand and use that instead. Okay. I'm not sure how protected this hand is, but let's see if I can get this blow pen to work. Now, I'm not a huge fan of these in general day-to-day life. They're a bit spitty for my liking, especially when young children use them. That one's dried out a bit. Let's see if any of these work. Would they have naturally had blue stuff? Probably not. Let's try this green one. They might have been able to make a green with a plant. Oh no, they're all dried out. That one's dead. That one's dead. Look, I should have tested them. This is classic me. That one's dead. Last one. This is how long we've had these. Come on, little blue. It's dried out, guys. Anyway, you get the idea. What a shame. Okay, well, if it wasn't dried out, idiot. You could do that. So they would basically hand on the wall, blow around it, take your hand away. You've got the outline. That's essentially what happened. Never mind. At least they've got in the bin now. You know, save clogging up my cupboards. Okay. Other things that people did artwork of, paintings of in caves were animals, people. There are some really cool animal drawings. We talked about loads of animals. What should we talk about? There was lots of deer. We talked about deer. I'm not, you know. Drawing is one of those things that the more hours you put in, the better you get at it. I haven't done drawing. Who has time for drawing when you have children? If you're a child, you've got loads of time for drawing. I would highly recommend doing drawing. I think grown-ups always say, I can't draw. And you should say to them, that's because you haven't been practicing. Well, I nearly said it then earlier. Now, the great thing about charcoal is you can rub it out. You get a knife in, it just looks like background. He's got two legs and a tail. Where does a deer's tail go? Like, maybe up. I don't know, actually. Go up? What is it now? Maybe if he's happy or sad. I feel like it goes up. Anyway. So yeah, they used to draw animals, and that's how we know about a lot of how the animals would have looked like. Obviously, we would have paleontologists. Paleontologists? No, we're not talking about dinosaurs. Archaeologists would have found their bones and stuff, but their cave drawings are super helpful. Lots of them show people with back drawing bow and arrows again. We had this the other day where I can't. They go that way? No, you put it back that way, and then it goes that way. Oh well. Put that down. There you go. So we know a lot about the tools and stuff because of cave drawings. So there you go. My little caveman with a bow and arrow. Like I said, children get more time to practice than adults, so yours will be better than mine, I imagine. So yeah, they did lots of drawing about life. Why did they do that? Well, why does anyone draw? It's fun. Something to do. It's a hobby. They also didn't have any other way to write things down. There wasn't written word at that point. There wasn't computers or email, or no one was like, "Dear diary, today I saw a cave bear. It nearly ate me," you know. So this is a really good way to record their stories, and it also gave them a sense of belonging, especially like the handprint thing. This was very like, we're a community, we're a family. You know, we still do handprints now. We do handprints, babies' handprints all the time on things. You know, children's handprints, family handprints on a plate at pottery places. You know what I mean. Yeah. They also would scratch into the walls as well, sort of like the early engravery, which they would have used bones for or stones for. And they would have carved out shapes or patterns or stories or whatever. They could make clay figures with clay from the ground, which is another fun thing to do. And they also used to make jewellery, which we talked a little bit about when we were talking about clothes, out of shells, stones, bits of bone again. Okay, so they were very creative, really. But then they didn't have Nintendo Switch, so what else are they supposed to do? Just have some coffee. Is anybody there? Nobody's there today. That's fine. I've only got 5 minutes left anyway, so we'll just make this a short one about art, and then if anyone wants any of my other activities, I will talk a little bit about, maybe I'll do a little learn on Stonehenge. Maybe I'll do that instead. So yeah, you can use anything to paint with. Berries, mud, burnt wood. You can scratch into things. You could try and make your own paintbrushes. They used to be, we think they were made from sticks and like animal hair. So you could try and do that. Or maybe sticks and feathers, sticks and leaves, sticks and different types of natural foliage and stuff. They would have also crushed rock to make different coloured paints. So you could recreate that with, like we did turmeric the other day, didn't we? I've got my fabric over there that I dyed, which is holding up really well, by the way. It's pretty yellow. So yeah, that's all fun activities that we've talked about. We think that music-wise, they would have done like clapping and drumming and bashing on things and stuff like that. But we don't know a whole lot about that. The same with stories. Everything would have been told orally, like with word that passed on. There was no writing yet. So some of it we have to guess. Which, if I had people online right now, I would move on to Stonehenge because there's so much guessing with Stonehenge. But I'll do a little learn about it. But essentially, Stonehenge, if you don't know, is a huge circle made of massive stones that are like taller than a double-decker bus, and they're like balanced on each other, and nobody really knows for sure what they're for. They're crazy. Really fun thing to do, again, that I did with my class, is to make a little clay Stonehenge. You can, or Play-Doh Stonehenge. They're all like little three. They've got a special name and I've forgotten now. It'll come back to me later. But yeah, make your own Stonehenge is really fun. But I won't talk about that now. Maybe I'll do a little learn about Stonehenge. But yeah, lots of questions about time when we weren't writing things down. That's why we say prehistoric. So anything that's prehistory is pre-written down. Pre means before. Yeah. I think that's all for now. I'm going to head off because there's nobody here. So that was just some fun little activities anyway. It's easy.